Graeae, the Graeae sisters of Greek mythology. Scroll origins, the ancient witches of fate. The Graeae, meaning gray ones in Greek, were three ancient, withered sisters who shared a single eye and a single tooth between them. They were born from the primordial sea deities Perseus and Deino, making them siblings to other infamous creatures like the Gorgons, Medusa, Deino, and eerie, and Ladon, the serpent guardian of the golden apples of Hesperides. The three sisters, Deino, dread, Enyo, horror, and Pemphredo, alarm, were described as having been born old, with gray hair, wrinkled skin, and a terrifying presence. Though they appeared frail, their knowledge of the past, present, and future made them incredibly powerful and dangerous. They lived in a dark cave at the edges of the world, where they guarded forbidden secrets and served as oracles, revealing knowledge only to those cunning or strong enough to outwit them. Eye, the shared eye and tooth, a symbol of eternal wisdom. The most distinctive and eerie trait of the Graeae was their single, all-seeing eye and a single tooth, which they passed between themselves to see and speak. This shared existence made them deeply reliant on one another, and it also made them vulnerable. If the eye was taken, they were left blind and powerless. The eye was said to grant visions of the unseen, allowing them to foresee the future, peer into distant lands, and uncover hidden truths. The tooth, meanwhile, symbolized their connection to the mortal world, as it was the only means through which they could consume nourishment. Because of their ancient wisdom, they were often sought out by gods and heroes alike. However, few dared to approach them, fearing their ominous presence and the dark truths they whispered. Crossed swords, Perseus, and the theft of the eye. The most famous story involving the Graeae comes from the legend of Perseus, the hero who sought to slay Medusa and retrieve her head as a weapon. To do this, Perseus needed to find the Hesperides, the nymphs who possessed the items required for his quest. Most importantly, the cap of invisibility, the winged sandals, and the adamantine sword of Hermes. Knowing that the Graeae held the knowledge of Medusa's whereabouts, Perseus traveled to their remote dwelling and waited for the right moment. As the sisters passed the eye between them, Perseus snatched it from their grasp, leaving them blind and helpless. Desperate to regain their sight, the Graeae pleaded with Perseus, offering him the knowledge he sought in exchange for their eye. Perseus, knowing they could not deceive him in their current state, forced them to reveal the location of the Hesperides before returning their eye and continuing his journey. This act showcased not only Perseus' cleverness, but also the weakness of the Graeae, whose dependence on a single eye made them vulnerable to deception and trickery. Skull, the role of the Graeae in Greek mythology. Though the Graeae played a minor role in mythology compared to their monstrous siblings, they symbolized the inevitability of fate and the fragility of power. Their connection to time, wisdom, and prophecy made them akin to the Moirai, fates, though they lacked the same level of control over destiny. Some interpretations suggest that the Graeae represent the aging process, with their shared eye reflecting the passage of wisdom through generations. Others view them as guardians of forbidden knowledge, keepers of secrets that should never be uncovered. Despite their eerie nature, they were not truly malevolent. They did not actively seek harm upon others, but instead served as gatekeepers of knowledge, accessible only to those who could outsmart them. Skull and crossbones, the legacy of the Graeae. In later stories, the Graeae faded from prominence, their legend overshadowed by their more famous siblings. However, their influence lived on in depictions of witches, oracles, and the archetype of the three sisters in folklore. They inspired later mythological figures, such as the three witches in Shakespeare's Macbeth, the Norns of Norse mythology, and the Fates of Roman tradition. Their imagery, a trio of ancient women sharing wisdom and power, remains a haunting and enduring symbol of mystery, destiny, and the supernatural.